The Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee for the Village of Hoffman Estates on this September 17th, 2018. May we have a roll call, please?
Chairman Stanton?
Present.
Vice Chairman Arnett?
Present.
Trustee Mills?
Present.
Trustee Newell?
Present.
Trustee Palafis?
Present.
Trustee Gata?
Present.
Mayor McLeod?
Present.
Good, we have a quorum. Approval of the minutes, August 6th, 2018.
So moved. Second.
Anybody notice any corrections or deletions that need to be made? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and they are approved. August 20th, 2018, we need also approval of those minutes.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Anybody notice any corrections or deletions or any kind of necessary changes? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and they are approved. We're on new business. We're going to skip to number 3, request by McShane Hoffman Estates LLC and McShane Hoffman MS LLC for approval for a forbearance agreement regarding a bike path required to be installed along the Huntington 90 property on the north side of Central Road, west of Center Drive.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Pete, you want to explain what this is about?
Sure. As part of the Bystronic building proposal that you have later on the board agenda, on the north side of Central Road, which used to be part of the former AT&T campus, the developer has an obligation through a development agreement to extend bike path improvements along their frontage along Central Road. They've already completed the east side where DMG Maury is located and the Trump building is located. Now that they're starting to build on the west side, they need to build that portion of the path as well. Basically what they've asked is that because Cook County is currently undergoing a highway reconstruction project for Central Road, which will lag behind the building construction, they've asked to defer the bike path installation until the county completes their design, so that the path and the roadway can all be kind of designed and coordinated and constructed together. And coupled with that, there may be opportunities for some of the county project to absorb some of the funding of the bike path or through some grant opportunities. So there's a variety of reasons why they're hoping to delay the bike path installation and allow the business to get up and operating. This agreement basically would state that the village agrees to let them defer the bike path. It doesn't change the obligation. It's still there. It just allows it to lag in timing. We would have performance guarantees in place to guarantee the bike path will go in. It'll just help us and the developer coordinate it in a more appropriate timely manner.
Do we know how much time this might take?
The county road project they're still in the design stage, so it's at least going to be a year or so behind the building. It's not months, it could be a year or possibly 2 years by the time they actually are constructing it. But at the same time, it should not be long into the future.
Let's hope not. Any questions up here? Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. At this time, I think we'd make a motion to recess our Planning and Building Zoning Committee to go to the board hearing.
Motion to recess.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we are recessed.
Okay.
I'd like to call the meeting of September 17th to order. Can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mills? Present. Trustee Newell?
Present.
Trustee Palafis?
Present.
Trustee Stanton?
Present.
Trustee Gata?
Present.
Trustee Arnett?
Present.
Present. Everybody please rise and lead the Pledge of Allegiance. We recessed to the board meeting for the purpose of dealing with our friends from Bistranic, who came a long ways to be here and to deal with some board and commission proclamations. I would like to note, for the record, there's a great display on the table right outside the council chambers for Mayor Mike O'Malley. Mayor O'Malley passed away 18 years ago today. Many of us on the village board and the staff had the opportunity to work with him. He was a giant physically and in every other way. And once you met Mike, you always remembered him. He had a great impact on this community with the development he brought in, and he'll always be remembered. At this point, I would like to move to planning and zoning, the additional business report E8E, if that's okay with the board, with the leave of the board. And 8E is request board approval of request by McShane Hoffman Estates LLC and McShane Hoffman MS LLC for approval for a forbearance agreement regarding a bike path required to be installed along the Huntington 90 property on the north side of Central Road, west of Center Drive. This matter was dealt with previously.
Motion to
at committee
approve.
meetings.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Are there any questions on this item? Anybody from Bistranic want to introduce yourselves, or? Okay, you can do that. Okay.
We'll take a moment. I've been in front of this board before, so thank you for having us back. We very much appreciate it. My name is Bob St. Aubin. I'm the president of Bistronic for the Americas Group. But we have with us today the senior management of Bistronic, so I'd like to introduce each if I could. First, I'll introduce Mr. Alex Wasser. Mr. Wasser is the CEO of our corporation, and he's here tonight to join with us. Mr. Sven Kunkels is the COO of our corporation. He's out of our factory in Gotha, Germany. The other three, by the way, are out of our headquarters in Niederrhein, Switzerland, and they've come to join us for this meeting this evening.
You're welcome. Appreciate your coming.
Mr. Johan Elster is the president of all the market divisions around the world. We have 29 market divisions. He's the president of all of those and is my direct boss. And Ms. Cornelia Gehrig is the CFO of our corporation. She's the one that gets to pay for this great project.
We appreciate your paying for it.
So they have flown in just today and will be leaving again tomorrow. They came here just for this event tonight because it's so important to us. And also, we're going to be doing a groundbreaking ceremony tomorrow, assuming we have a positive outcome here.
Okay.
So thank you very much for having us. And as I had advised them, I said, if you'd like to see come and see American government in action, this would be a wonderful opportunity. And they all wanted to see that.
Well, great, welcome.
Thank you. Thank
We're very looking forward to your joining the village team here. Thank you very much. We do have a motion, a second. Can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mills. Aye. Trustee Newell.
Aye.
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett. Mayor McLeod.
Aye, motion carried. At this point, we'll move on to the Planning and Zoning Commission report, the Chairperson Combs.
Good evening.
Good evening. She's not last tonight. Yeah, you're not last tonight. We really messed up. We used to like to keep you till 10 o'clock.
Yeah, thanks.
The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by McShane Hoffman Estates LLC owner and Connor Commercial Real Estate applicant for preliminary and final site plan and preliminary and final plat of subdivision for Bistronic North American headquarters to be located at 2200 Central Road with 12 conditions. The vote was 8 ayes, 3 absent.
Chair will accept the motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any questions on the finding? Seeing none, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mills. Aye. Trustee Newell.
Aye.
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye, motion carried.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by McShane Hoffman Estates LLC owner and Connor Commercial Real Estate applicant for preliminary and final site plan Phase 1 and plat of dedication for an extension of Eagle Way with 9 conditions. The vote was 8 ayes, 3 absent.
Chair will accept the motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion, a second. Any questions on this one? Seeing none, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mills. Aye. Trustee Newell.
Aye.
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye, motion carried.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by McShane Hoffman Estates LLC owner and Connor Commercial Real Estate applicant for a master sign plan amendment dated September 5th, 2018, in accordance with Section 9-3-8-M-13 of the zoning code for the Huntington 90 property. The vote was 8 ayes, 3 absent.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Any questions on this one? Seeing none, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mills.
Aye.
Trustee Newell.
Aye.
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye, motion carried. Congratulations. Can we get a picture with you folks? Absolutely. Yeah, come on, everybody. Yeah, why don't you guys come up front here? Is that better? I think it's better. There's just be too many of us. Yeah. Now you just line up here and we'll get a great picture. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to Hoffman Estates. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is great.
Thank you, guys. We're glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here. It's okay, don't worry about it.
Put you back.
That's okay.
All right, everybody smile. 3, 2, 1. And I'll take another. Everyone smile. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you very much. See you tomorrow. At this point, we'll go to the proclamations and presence report, then we'll go back to Trustee Stanton's Planning, Building, and Zoning Commission. Who's got the first proclamation?
Okay, I have the first one. So, Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas exemplary public service employment is of vital importance in assuring provision of services directed toward the health, welfare, and safety of the citizens of any community. And whereas the police department has upon its roster an individual who should be commended for assisting said department in faithfully serving the citizens of this community. And whereas length of service coupled with continued training and positive attitude toward assigned job tasks make a profile of this dedicated employee. And whereas the Village of Hoffman Estates, on behalf of its citizens, desires to acknowledge its indebtedness and gratitude for 40 years of dedication and proficiency in the aforementioned department. Be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by the virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and the laws of this Village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaim Wednesday, September 26, 2018, as Sharon Lawson Day in the Village of Hoffman Estates, and urge all employees and citizens of the village to join us in expressing gratitude and appreciation to this employee who may have assisted them with outstanding service.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
A second. It's a motion, a second, 40 years. You got all of us beat by a lot. We appreciate the dedication that Sharon has shown to the children of our great community. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have a motion carried. Is Sharon here? Yes, come on up. Behind the pole, come on up. That's back down there, Sharon. Shake everybody's hand.
Start with me on this side. Congratulations.
Thanks for all your help. Thanks, Sharon. That's amazing. Here you go. Don't leave without this. Yeah.
Thank you.
We got to get a picture. Is your husband here too, Sharon? Bring him up. Come on. What's your name, sir? Robert.
Good name.
Thank you. Yeah, you got a son named Robert. You want to come up here? We'll get a picture. All right.
Perfect. Bev, I'm missing you just a little bit. There we go. Perfect. All right, everyone smile. 3, 2, 1. And one more. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Thanks, everyone.
40 years, wow. Who's next?
I am. I'm next. Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas exemplary public service employment is of vital importance in assuring a provision of services dedicated toward the health, welfare, and safety of the citizens of any community. And whereas the police department has upon its roster an individual who should be commending for assisting said department in faithfully serving the citizens of this community. And whereas length of service coupled with continued training and positive attitude toward assigned job tasks makes a profile of this dedicated employee. And whereas the Village of Hoffman Estates, on behalf of its citizens, desires to acknowledge its indebtedness and gratitude for 25 years of dedication, proficiency in the aforementioned department. Be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and the laws of the Village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaim Monday, September 24th, 2018, is Paul Hansen Day in the Village of Hoffman Estates, and urge all employees and citizens of the village to join us in expressing gratitude and appreciation to this employee who may have assisted them with outstanding service.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
This motion is second. We appreciate the great job that Paul has done for our police department. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried. Is Paul here? No? Ted Boss is here to accept. Thanks, Chief. Thank you.
Whereas exemplary public service employment is of vital importance in assuring provision of services directed toward the health, welfare, and safety of the citizens of any community. And whereas the police department has upon its roster an individual who should be commended for assisting said department in faithfully serving the citizens of this community. And whereas length of service coupled with continued training and positive attitude toward assigned job tasks make a profile of this dedicated employee. And whereas the Village of Hoffman Estates, on behalf of its citizens, desires to acknowledge its indebtedness and gratitude for 25 years of dedication and proficiency in the aforementioned department. Be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and laws of this Village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaims Monday, September 24th, 2018, as Lisa Conan Day in the Village of Hoffman Estates, and urges all employees and citizens of the village to join us in expressing gratitude and appreciation to this employee who may have assisted them with outstanding service.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion is second. We appreciate the wonderful job that Lisa's done for us also for 25 years. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have a motion carried. Chief, getting your steps in today, sir. Thank you. Who's next?
Okay, I am. Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas exemplary public service employment is of vital importance in ensuring provision of services directed toward the health, welfare, and safety of the citizens of any community, and whereas the police department has upon its roster an individual who should be commended for assisting said department in faithfully serving the citizens of this community, and whereas length of service coupled with continued training and positive attitude toward assigned job tasks make a profile of this dedicated employment, and whereas the Village of Hoffman Estates, on behalf of its citizens, desires to acknowledge its indebtedness and gratitude for 25 years of dedication and proficiency in the aforementioned department. Be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and the laws of this Village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaim Monday, September 24th, 2018 as Gregory Polis Day in the Village of Hoffman Estates, and urge all employees and citizens of the village to join us in expressing gratitude and appreciation to this employee who may have assisted them with outstanding service.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. We appreciate the great job the deputy chief has done for this community throughout his 25 years. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have a motion carried. Can't get away without a picture, chief. Yeah, I like 8 by 10s for sale, chief.
All right, everyone smile. 3, 2, 1. And one more. 3, 2, 1. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, chief. One last proclamation.
And I've got it. Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas change is constant and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, boroughs, townships, and rural areas. And whereas community planning and plans can help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for how people work and live. And whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningfully involved in making choices that determine the future of their community. And whereas the full benefits of planning requires public officials and citizens who understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation. And whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America and its territories. And whereas the American Planning Association and its professional institute, the American Institute of Certified Planners, endorsed National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight the contributions that sound planning and plan implementation make to the quality of our settlements and environment, and whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of the members of planning and zoning commissions who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of the Village of Hoffman Estates. And whereas we recognize the many valuable contributions made by professional planners of the Village of Hoffman Estates and extend our heartfelt thanks for the continued commitment to public service by these professionals, be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and laws of this Village of Hoffman Estates, do hereby proclaim October 2018 as National Community Planning Month in the Village of Hoffman Estates, and urges all residents and businesses to join in its observance.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. We appreciate the great job the planning department does for us, and they do in many other communities as well and throughout the world. And we have half our village board members served on the Planning and Zoning Commission, so we do value what all you have all done. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have a motion carried. Mr. Gugliotta, Mr. Copland, who wants to pick this up? We're awash with planners tonight. Thank you. Okay, at this time, the chair to accept a motion to recess the village board meeting till the completion of the special finance committee meeting later this evening.
So moved.
Second.
So motion is second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have a motion carried. We are recessed until the completion of the special finance committee meeting.
I'd like to call to order the Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee again for this Village of Hoffman Estates. May we have another roll call?
Chairman Stanton?
I'm present.
Vice Chairman Arnett?
Present.
Trustee Mills?
Present.
Trustee Newell?
Present.
Trustee Palafis?
Present.
Trustee Gata?
Present.
Mayor McLeod?
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Let's get back to new business. Number 1, request by WT Properties, Schaumburg. 1, is that, or is that an I? I can't tell for sure. But anyway, it's LLC for a courtesy review for redevelopment of the former Hoffman Lanes property at 80 West Higgins Road with retail buildings.
So moved.
No, this is a courtesy
Oh,
review.
this is courtesy. Excuse me.
Troy?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. We're going to plug in real quick and share a couple slides with you. All right, well, who's working on that?
Before you start, let me just read off something to you. Do you understand that your appearance before the Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee shall not constitute any village board endorsement, support, or implied approval of the subject property, and that you also understand that the final project approval or denial shall only occur through official village board action?
Understood. Thank you.
Okay.
So-
Proceed.
Thanks for everybody's time this evening. It's been a while since I've been in front of you, but it's good to be back. So I am here on behalf of WT Group and WT Properties Schaumburg 1 LLC. We have partnered up with a group who has desired to acquire and redevelop what everybody knows as the old Hoffman lanes. And the harder we look at it, the more we like the site and the more interest we have in the site. Being a longtime Hoffman Estates guy myself, we looked at the building, we looked at the area, and just knowing it very intimately, our intent is to see what we can do to reuse the site and in some ways keep a nostalgic look in some of the essence of the old Hoffman lanes. So more than anything, we're not looking for zoning changes, anything extremely unusual, but we're here tonight with the reuse of the existing building and a relatively short due diligence period to just get an understanding if this is the direction the village would like to see this area continue to go in with the rest of the redevelopment in the area. So as you know, what Hoffman Bowl is on the screen right there. It's an existing 40,000 square foot building, give or take. It's been there since approximately 1962. It's in the southeast quadrant of the main triangle with Roselle to the east, Higgins to the south, Gulf Road to the north, collectively over 120,000 vehicles today. So strongly suggests restaurant and commercial type use, which is existing today. So the next slide. The building is old, 1962. It's seen its days. However, it's something memorable, I would think, to a lot of people in the village. And after we've got to spend some time in there and look at the building, it is a solid structure. We have a structural team currently doing a full analysis of it. We believe that we know it's a block and steel building, and we think that the bones itself, after all those years, are still solid. So what our intent is to reduce the size of the building. You can go to the next slide. Removing most of where the bowling is today to leave approximately a 60-foot deep building and approximately 180 feet wide to make an 11 to 12,000 square foot traditional strip center, as well as a approximately 2,000 square foot drive-through to the west. The existing site has very little landscaping, no real guidance for parking. So everything we do to this site, we'll be adding landscaping. We'll be adding pervious area. We'll be improving traffic flow, etc. Everything from better ADA access to more places to put the snow. We've looked at the parking ratios, and we believe that as proposed, we will be able to accommodate a very nice mix of restaurants and your typical commercial retail uses. At this point, we are still in the preliminary due diligence stages with the seller, so I cannot specifically name any users. However, we do have a short list already who have contacted us, and at the time of a full plan commission meeting, and full village board meeting, I would hope to be able to tell you what types of uses specifically go in the building. Obviously, we will make sure the parking works throughout the formal process. 3 keys to the project are, 1, confirming that the structure as is will work. The intent is to gut the existing building and reuse foundation structure. So while we're going to maintain some nostalgia, we do want to keep the bones. We need to look hard at access, which we have already begun discussions with our neighbors, as well as IDOT. It's an existing right-in, right-out on IDOT, which we don't expect to move at this point, as well as understanding and working with the village on what sort of incentives are available. I know there's some areas that will be common or public areas for public improvements, and I believe this is in an existing TIF zone. So we would take our project and see what's applicable from the village designated TIF zone to aid this project with the reuse of the existing building and other public improvements. Could you jump to? So as I said, when you drive by the bowling alley, we didn't want to do a strip center that's on every other corner in America. We had the concept of giving it one of the oldest buildings in the area of Hoffman Estates a little identity of its own. So the intent here is to, again, save the bones, but what you're looking at would be mostly brand new, meet new codes, and create the type of center that when people are talking about it, everybody knows exactly what we're talking about. And I think some of the existing features, such as the old Hoffman Lane signs, can be repurposed and made contemporary for today. So it's state of the art. And yet saves some of the nostalgia that everybody knows as the old Hoffman lanes. So I guess with that, again, there's no major zoning variations. There's, I believe we're improving the site as a whole. We are looking to be unique in our elevations, and obviously there's IDOT, the full process, MWRD, et cetera, before we are to receive any approvals from you. Our plan would be to permit the project through the winter, also finish obtaining tenants, and then break ground in the spring. So at this point tonight, we're simply here to share this with you and get your preliminary feedback.
Well, thank you for sharing it with us. I know some of us talked with you in Vegas at the ICSC convention regarding the possibility of you guys obtaining that property. There were about 2 other organizations that also met with us regarding what they thought that property could be. And I think a lot of us thought that this might be the best use for that property. And some of us probably didn't. As far as the building goes, the main building looks nice. I would like you to lose the nostalgic look. It looks like a circus tent more than anything else. If you want to use the white and the red, maybe put it in awnings over the windows or something like that. But I don't. Personally, that doesn't do anything for me the way it looks. But everybody else here has their own opinion. So maybe you can hear from everybody else on that. Trustee
Fair
Mills.
enough.
I tend to agree with Trustee Stanton on the appearance of the building. I know it's a relic in town. My one concern, too, is the structural integrity of that building, because I know that it's probably got quite a bit of problems on the interior that you're going to have to deal with. But if you're going to be gutting it, I mean, that's one thing right there, and taking out the back portion of it, which is fine. But I would just be concerned, and I'm sure staff would be working pretty hard with you on that to make sure everything does conform. Yeah, I'm not real excited about the drawings that you've shown to us so far tonight.
As far as the elevation.
Yeah, I appreciate the trying to take the time to make it part of town, because it has been here forever, and I know we had a trustee many years ago who is not real happy probably that it's no longer a bowling alley. She loved it. But, yeah, I just don't care too much for the elevation as is. That's all. But wish you luck and hope it does work out.
Thank you.
Karen?
I agree. I mean, I think the sentiment is there, and I think is great. But just for me personally, to me, it just reminds me of like a 50s drive-in. But like I said, I mean, the sentiment is there.
Anyone else? Yes, trustee
Oh.
Palafis.
I'll pile on with you. Clown colors were the phrase that jumped into my head, and then you said circus tent. Just the dots, right? I mean, I guess maybe I'm a traditionalist. I don't really care about its history, to be honest with you. You could put a wrecking ball into it for all I care.
Yeah, I think we're ready to move on is what, I guess what we're saying.
I appreciate the sentiment too, and we talk and hang out quite a bit, so so just, it's creative. I think it's cool. But like when I opened the page, I was like, whoa, it kind of like grabbed me, but maybe the triangles with the dots are a little bit too much on the elevations. I don't know. But I definitely see the creativity in there, so maybe, just keep tweaking it. That's all for me.
Trustee Newell or Trustee Gata, anything?
Oh, go ahead.
Anna, go ahead.
Oh, okay. The idea is great, but I don't, to me, they look like kites up there. Like you're going to go to some sports center or something. I don't know. I don't get it. So, sorry.
If you're counting, it's up to 5.
Sorry. I just, and like he said, when you open up the thing and I go, what is this? I don't know. I'm like, that doesn't look like Hoffman Lanes, so I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
Well, we might as well make it unanimous then, right?
Got the veto holder sitting right here.
Can't veto that.
Well,
So
I think they all spoke
Fair enough.
exactly what I was going to say anyways, to be honest with you.
So use good. Back to the drawing board. Talk to in their defense, the architects aren't here tonight.
Oh, good. The open concept with all the windows and that
Yeah.
make it more,
Yes.
that I like. It's just the frou-frou stuff on there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Not taking anything personally. We are happy to do a more traditional center. My concern is the use itself more than the concept. Like I said, it was we could tone down the architects and
Kind of overbearing when we saw the drawings.
Understood. So I appreciate your feedback. So yeah, I guess unless there's anything else, my takeaway will be the use is good. Back to the drawing board on the elevation.
Trustee Mills.
I like the uses. One thing is your ingress and egress you're going to have to watch for because it's going to be awkward to get in and out of there. You do have the side driveway, which you'd have to make use of, I would think, especially with the drive-through. But overall, I think the concept is good.
Okay, thank you.
Mary, do you want to chip in with anything? Everybody else
I
has had
tend to
a-
agree with everybody else. I just do knock the building down, build a new building.
Trustee
will-
Palafis?
I was just going to agree with Karen Mills. I think the use is fantastic.
Okay.
Very creative.
Okay, I guess we,
Thank you
Giving
for
you
your
opinions.
comments this evening. Have a good night.
right,
we'll be
try.
back in front of you in a couple months.
Good.
thank you. All right, let's move on to number 2, which is a request by Poplar Creek Bowl for a site plan amendment to modify a condition of approval to allow use of outdoor seating by any patron of the bowling alley and banquet business at 2354 West Higgins Road. I know when we last talked about this, it was only for the people in the banquet facility. And
So-
so we're adding on. All right,
So moved.
I'll second.
thank you. Any discussion regarding this? Yes, Trustee Palafis.
I'm all for outside seating everywhere. There's just not enough of it, and I think it gives the village a strategic advantage the more we have. On days like today where it's nice and whatnot. You see Moretti's packed and some of the other places that have a good amount of outdoor seating.
Pete, do you know how many people they were expecting to have? Doors?
I don't know necessarily. I think it's just more of an option, obviously, depending on whether the when the banquet's busy, obviously that may get more use. I'm guessing the day-to-day usage would be a little bit more sporadic.
Okay. Trustee Mills, you had a question?
No, I just, I voted against this last time, I just say that the location of it's so close to the drive-through, the driving aisle, it was a concern to me. And it would definitely need to be posted as no smoking. And so that people could not just walk up and get into there, they'd have to be fencing around it. But that was my concern before, was just the location. That's all.
Trustee Noel.
The only question I had is, it says that it can be used for the banquet and for the regular patrons. Now, if somebody has a banquet, can the regular patrons just walk in, or is it going to be fenced off because they're having a banquet?
Do we have the owner here?
Just
Yes.
State your name and address.
William Griggs, 2354 West Higgins Road. I own Barrington Bowling Center, DBA Poplar Creek Bowl.
Okay.
Our design is allow the banquets to exclusively use it if they so desire. Otherwise, it's open to all of our customers.
So if there's no banquet going, anybody else could use it?
Correct.
But if a banquet is going, no one else can use it?
We're going to give them the option. Do they want it exclusively for their banquet, or we're going to have dual entry from both the banquet room and from the common center, so there'll be two accesses to the seating area.
But if the banquet is using it, you would have the door locked to that facility, outdoor facility then?
We're going to give them that option, if they want it exclusively for themselves, or
Okay. Yes, Mr. Norris.
From a village monitoring standpoint, we're not going to be able to tell whether the person is coming from the bar or from a banquet. It's the same type of situation we have right now with America's Bar. We really wouldn't know unless we had to get into a situation where we had to question the actual individuals involved.
Which means you'll have to monitor that yourself.
correct.
And that's what the conditions call for them to do.
All right. All right, everybody understands that? All right, any other questions up here regarding this? All right, we have a motion, a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
All right, note the 2 noes. All right, let's move on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Number 4, request by M.I. Homes of Chicago LLC and Case Properties LLC to extend the required completion dates related to the renovation of the Bergman Farmhouse located at the north side of Algonquin Road, west of Elo Road.
So moved.
I'll second. Can I second? Okay. Mayor, I know you have your hand up, but I'll let Pete talk first about what's going on.
Just briefly, when this was originally approved, there were completion dates set, which included the July of this year, that the remodeling would have been completed. For a variety of reasons, the builder who entered into the contract was not able to meet that schedule. At this point, they have completed architectural drawings. Those drawings have been approved by our building department. For the house remodeling, they're still finishing up the work for the plat of survey, which includes a garage addition, the basic grading on the lot, which is a pretty straightforward function that we would hope they'll have complete and ready within the next couple weeks. So they also have other contractors lined up for the project. So we're anticipating that this actual work could begin in October this year. The Case Group expects to be able to complete some necessary exterior work on the home to kind of shore it up for the winter to make sure it's sealed up well and can be weather tight, and then that will allow them over the winter months to work on the interior remodeling. So what's being asked here, and a representative from M.I. Homes is here also, they still continue to own and maintain the house in its current state. They, along with the Case Properties representative and the village, had discussed these deadlines. They are hoping that they can get this all done and wrapped up sometime by the middle of next summer. We've provided about a month or so of a cushion in the new date that's proposed, just in case there are any foreseen delays, but at least it would have a pretty clear end date again that hopefully is achievable.
Mayor?
Well, my concern was another winter with the house not being secured, and if they can do that, I think it'd be very desirable, because I don't know how much more of a beating the house can take, to be blunt about it.
Anybody else have any other concerns, questions? Yes, Trustee Palafis.
Yeah, just to add on to what the mayor said, this project's taken so long. I find it regrettable that initial posture I've taken. And I understand a lot of it is, basic and repeatable. I mean, it's just a really long time. And I agree. I don't know, if how much longer it's sustainable. But I mean, it's not like we can really vote no here.
Well, obviously,
So
they
it-
feel it's sustainable because they are.
I know they feel that, but I'm just saying.
Otherwise, they wouldn't put the money in. So,
And they're continuing to spend money on the engineering and the plat. The option of voting no is there, but that would mean M&I would then cancel anything agreement they have with Case. The village would direct it to be demolished, and the property would ultimately be deeded to the Park District. So the goal of saving the structure would be gone.
right. Trustee Mills.
If this is approved this evening, I think we need to make sure this is the last extension that is put on this, because this has gone on, and we're getting into the same situation we got into on another house that was, we were trying to save, and we're going right down the same road with this. So if it is approved, then this is it. Can we put that in as a condition?
That this will be the last extension? Make that as part of the motion, sure.
We can.
I would ask that that be included as, I'll ask that that be added as a condition.
Let
Make-
that be added.
Pardon?
I agree with that. In fact, that's even what I was going to say. We keep extending, they don't do anything, and then they come back and they ask us again to extend, and then what? And then now they want another year, right? And what's going to happen after that? They're going to come back, they might come back with something else. So, yes, let's make amendment to that. What would you rephrase it again?
That this be the last extension considered.
Okay, and what time limit should we put
Well,
on that also?
you've got on this
I know,
already.
it says a year, October.
It says October 31st, 2019.
So your date,
With leaving it at that?
sure.
I'm not, but,
Yeah,
okay, I'll make that motion.
there is a motion.
I know that, I made it, all right? So
Yeah.
we can amend what you
I'm-
were just saying as
okay.
far as
You can
this is the
accept
last
it-
extension.
You can accept it
Accept it
as a
as-
friendly motion, a friendly addition, and then the seconder can accept it, and then there's no need for votes. It goes straight to the vote on the motion
The
as a whole.
main motion.
Okay, I'll make it as a friendly.
Who was the seconder?
I think I was.
Yeah,
You
you
were.
were, nobody else was.
And I will accept.
Are you in the mood to be friendly?
I'm friendly.
I like that one.
I'm not officer friendly, but I am friendly. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. But note the no. All right.
Trustee Stanton,
Yes.
did somebody say that MI was here in the audience?
Sure.
Yes.
Matt? is-
All right, would you come up, please?
It's not them that are delaying it.
What is your take on all of this? We should have probably had you come up here before we even voted.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's unfortunate. that
Matt,
it's-
you need to give your name and address for the record, please.
Matt Pagoria with MI Homes, 400 East Steel in Naperville. I think it's unfortunate that it's taken this long, but I think it's positive in the fact that Case Properties is actually moving forward and wants to do something with this still. Because it's either we move forward and renovate it or we demolish it. So
Right.
I think this is the last effort. It's not going to take any longer than this. So hopefully we'll find out here in the next 30 days or so if they can get started. And if they do and the exterior gets fixed up and the foundation done, over the winter, the interior renovations should be no big deal. I'm still excited about it.
What about the neighbors? Have they voiced their opinion on the property there? Because you have quite a few sold there now.
We only have 14 left.
Only 14 left.
And
Excellent.
what we've done from the beginning is kind of shared that this is going to happen. So we've never changed our story, and the residents are just waiting for it to happen.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, have a good
No
night.
further questions.
Thank you, Matt. All right, let's move on. Number 5, request approval of a resolution establishing fees for planning, zoning, and other related fees of the Village of Hoffman Estates.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion on this? Pete or Kevin, do you want to?
So, yeah, the resolution would adopt some new fees and deposit schedules for economic development incentives, which we've been doing for a while, and we've noticed they can sometimes take a bit of staff time, and so this is really just recouping the staff's time cost, be it myself or Mark or village manager's time, so all the times, and then we'll still have separate legal deposits for things like TIF projects.
And we noticed that other villages have been charging fees for these type of things for some time. And we have benchmarked our fees lower than theirs purposely because we didn't want this to chill economic development or be seen that in any way. But there's a lot of people who ask for incentives that we do all the research on and they never go forward with even the development. So this will also cause them to be more serious about their requests, in our opinion.
That makes sense. Yes.
Are
Trustee
we
Gainer.
in line with other communities around us?
As I just said, we're actually a little bit lower than the average purposefully
Okay,
because we want to be competitive.
that's all.
Any other questions there? All right, motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. And we go to reports. First is the Planning Division Monthly Report. Any discussion on that? If not, then it's received and filed. 2 is Code Enforcement Division Monthly Report. Any discussion on that?
Yes.
Yes. Trustee Gainer.
Mr. Guglielmo, back on this, the licensing,
The rental licenses?
rental licensing, right?
Yes.
And it says here 2,170 rental properties registered. How many have not registered? First question.
For the most part, those would be ones we don't know about. So there are maybe less than 5 that are currently in violation that we are trying to secure licenses, or they haven't actually licensed. They're in the court process. There are regularly, on a monthly basis, we send out letters when we suspect the property is being rented, when we either find through an ad or a water billing interaction where it appears that there's a tenant putting their name on a water billing account and we don't have it licensed as a rental, we're notifying the owners. So there's a constant flow of new registrations being added through that process. So these are the ones we know for sure we've secured. It is realistic to think that there could easily be a few dozen or more that are out there that are not registered that we just don't know about.
And the ones that we do know that are registered, right, that haven't complied or for the license and that, I know you said that we would send a citation to them, correct?
Yes.
And then so if they don't do anything about the citation, then what do we do?
That's an ongoing battle, although it does seem that after a few months at the most people, once they get an initial citation, they realize we're serious about enforcing our codes and they'll work with us to get things resolved. So we've fallen into a pretty good pattern where we don't really have long-standing violation properties that are not being taken care of. So if someone gets a citation or maybe 2 months worth, we actually seem to be getting compliance now. And again, as the program has aged, we're going on almost 5 years now. It's a lot of the initial cleanup on some of the more troubling properties has happened already. So it's a lot of maintenance items now. We're not, it's there's fewer re-inspections. There's fewer big problems that we had in the beginning. So when the program was new and we had never inspected things before. So,
Correct, I remember that.
yeah, so it really seems to have stabilized quite a bit.
Okay, we'll bring this up later. Is that a different time?
Sure, and I'll be glad to do a little more research and be prepared with more information on specifics if you
Okay,
want.
thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else? Okay, this report now is received and filed. And third is the Economic Development and Tourism Monthly Report. Any questions of Kevin? Okay, this report is now received and filed. President's report.
I'll wait for the board meeting. Trustee Stanton?
Thank you. We have nothing in other. We do have an item in review, and it's my understanding we're going to kick this over till October yet, right?
We'd like to request a motion from the committee that if it is not ready for that meeting, that it will be dropped and they have to start the process over.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Trustee Palafis.
Why don't we just drop it now?
Because we have actually got their attention and they're working with Doug Lasota on it, and we would like to be able to tell them there's a deadline.
It's a deadline kind of night. So
It is.
we'll see.
The deadlines were made to be broken.
That's right.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and this meeting is adjourned.
I'd like to go ahead and call the General Administration and Personnel Committee for the Village of Hoffman Estates for September 17th, 2018. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Arnett,
Present.
Vice Chairman Mills,
Present.
Trustee Stanton,
Present.
Trustee Newell,
Present.
Trustee Palafis,
Present.
Trustee Gata,
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
You have a quorum. If I can get approval of minutes for August 6th, 2018.
So moved. Second.
Okay, anyone have any questions or additions, corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, we have two items in new business. Number one is request approval of an ordinance approving compensation for village elected officials.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, does staff have anything they want to add or anything? Legal counsel?
No.
Okay. Seeing nothing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number two, request approval of a resolution creating an ad hoc complete count committee for the 2020 census of the Village of Hoffman Estates.
So moved.
I'll second.
Staff or anybody have anything to add?
It's something that the village has done in the past, something that HUD encourages, and for us as a municipality, it's extremely important. We receive funding back from the state of Illinois on many revenue streams on a per capita or per person basis, and it's important for us to make sure our count is accurate as possible.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Trustee Stanton?
How long would this committee be in effect?
I would expect to be potentially through 2021.
Right, till the census is done.
It's usually at least a year past the time, past 2020.
And how often usually would they meet? Or have they met in the
I
past?
don't have a clue on that.
Okay.
They're going to be doing a lot of public relations and outreach to make sure that everybody gets counted. That's what we did in 2010, and then when the census was completed, the 2010 Complete Count Committee went away, as will this one when the census is done.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We go on to the reports, which are information only. Number one is Cable TV Monthly Report. Okay, if we can receive and file that. Number two is Human Resources Management Monthly Report. Anyone have anything to add? Okay, if we can receive and file that one also. Number three is Legislative Operations and Outreach Monthly Report. Okay, nothing. If we can receive and file that one. President's Report.
I'll wait for the board meeting, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I see nothing in other, no items in review. If we can have a motion for an adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, we are adjourned.
I'd like to call to order the Transportation and Road Improvement Committee for September 17th, 2018. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Chairman Mills,
Present.
Vice Chairman Stanton,
Present.
Trustee Arnett,
Present.
Trustee Newell,
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Gata,
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. I look for approval of the minutes of August 6th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections or comments on those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. And now I look for a motion to accept and approve the minutes of August 20th, the special meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. New business this evening, number one, request approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Cook County for the Invest in Cook grant program.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Henke, did you wish to address that?
This is the documentation of the grant approval and would give us the authority to go ahead and, through the RFQ process, retain a consulting engineer for the Phase 1 engineering. The goal would be to get this done by the end of the year, so the funds would be expended next year.
Questions? Seeing none, we do have a motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Number 2, request approval of a second amendment to the intergovernmental agreement with Cook County for Shoe Factory Road improvements in an amount of $395,712, and B, second supplement to the Village Phase 2 Design Services Contract with Civil Tech Incorporated in the amount of $395,712 for a total not to exceed amount for Phase 2 Design Services of $980,990.90.
So moved.
Second.
We couldn't put another dime on that, huh? Mr. Hanky, you have something on this one?
I'll try to be brief. It has a long, long history to it. We've finally come to an agreement with the county staff on the scope of the engineering services that would be needed to complete the design plans. Probably the best-case scenario is that, assuming that all this would be approved, that Civil Tech would be able to complete that sometime next year, which would then lead into the right-of-way process, most likely through 2020. So under the best-case scenario, construction perhaps in 2021.
And so it goes on.
And these items are sequential to get the IGA approval through the county, which commits their funding, and then to authorize Civil Tech to proceed with the balance of the design work.
Okay, and this was money that, part of it was from that settlement that we received?
Correct, right, from various developer contributions over the years, yes.
As well as the lawsuit, which
Right.
is settled in our favor.
Right.
Yes, thank you for that. Okay, other questions up here?
The amount of, thank you, the amount of money that we're going to spend now, we've already spent the other amount that equals up to the 980,000?
Yes, yeah, so this is, actually, some of the right-of-way work, for example, in order to keep the process going, we have fronted those funds. So the agreement is, we'll recapture those monies back, or at least the county share, I should say, of those monies that we've put out.
Okay, thank you.
And the county share was 58% and then 66 on the second part, I believe I read.
Correct, right. We, through negotiation, we were able to increase the county share back to what their original split was with the initial IGA.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, we do have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Number 3, request authorization to award contract for 2018 surface patching project to Brothers Asphalt Paving Incorporated of Addison, Illinois, the low bid in an amount not to exceed $200,000.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on that. Anything you wish to bring up on that item?
This is a part of our annual street project component, as we've done in the past several years.
Okay, and we received 4 different bids for that, and this one came in the best.
Correct.
Any other questions?
I do.
Yeah.
Just how long does this project usually take?
It's very fast, on the order of a week.
That's fast.
Yeah, it's small, isolated patching areas.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Number 4, request approval of 2 IDOT supplemental resolutions to appropriate motor fuel tax funds for A, the 2014 street revitalization project in the amount of $921,739, and B, the 2015 street revitalization project in the amount of $352,362.52.
So moved.
I'll second.
Yes, Mr. Hanky. Then I'll go to you.
Uh,
No.
Yes, so these are not new monies that we need to come up with. These are funds that have already been expended through the IDOT audit process that they do regularly on MFT projects. There's a review that's done through our finance and engineering division, and we found that we had actually internally adjusted the funds back and forth so that we wound up spending more MFT money than we had originally planned for in the budget. We haven't overspent MFT. We've just happened in these 2 years to use significantly more MFT than the non-MFT revenues. So the dollar amounts all balance with the IDOT audit process, and this is bringing everything into compliance.
Okay. Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. This evening, we have one report for informational purposes only, and that's the Transportation Division Monthly Report. Any questions or comments on that? If not, I'll ask that that be received and filed as is. President's Report.
I'll wait for the board meeting, Madam Chair.
There anything else to come before this committee this evening? We do have one item in review for way out into May of 2019, and that's the discussion on parking permit program in the Washington Boulevard and Alcoa Lane area. Again, that will be May of next year. Seeing nothing else to come before this committee, I look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
I'd like to call to order the Special Finance Committee tonight, September 17th, 2018. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Palafis.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Newell.
Present.
Trustee Gata.
Present.
Trustee Mills.
Present.
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
So excited for our new business item number 1. We get the annual visit from Mr. Coop. You know you can come to more meetings than just the one you have to.
He'll be back in December.
Yeah, well, okay. New business item number 1 is a request approval of an ordinance authorizing an intergovernmental agreement to participate in the Suburban Liability Insurance Program, or SLIP.
So moved.
Have a motion. Could I have a second?
Second.
All righty. Dan, Mr. Coop?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Palafis. I can speak to this issue. I think the board is pretty familiar with our insurance program. We bring that forward every year for the renewal of the premiums. In your information package, we've provided kind of a detail of what our current program is. But to step back a little bit on this issue, I want to give you a little bit of background. The Village of Buffalo Grove approached the village and a number of other municipalities several months ago to look at the potential of creating an insurance pool for our general liability and property coverages. The village has been pretty successful in past insurance pools that we have had. We've been a member of HELP for a number of years for our excess liability, and we're currently a member of IPBC for our group health insurance. So with that past experience with our pools, we thought it might be worthwhile to sit down with these other municipalities and look at this potential pool for our general liability coverages. As we sat down and went through looking at the potential of creating this pool, we brought Arthur J. Gallagher into the discussion. They have a lot of experience in running municipal pools, especially in the state of Illinois. But they also have a great presence in the insurance market, and they bring a lot of experience on that end of the equation. So over these last several months, we've been meeting with the other municipalities, and what we have right now is a proposed insurance pool. There's a couple of representatives from Gallagher here, and they're going to go through the details of what that proposed program is. They can come on up and talk in a second. Staff, in looking at this, we believe that there is a benefit to the village joining this pool, both a financial benefit and a coverage and a structural benefit as well. So I'll let Arthur J. Gallagher give their presentation, and then afterwards we can answer any questions that you might have.
I
pressed the button. I don't see it coming up though. Then I need to just.
You may have,
I was going to say, I have a Mac you can use if you want.
here we go.
It's got a real operating system.
It's not pulling up the screen.
Where's Fred when you need him?
We do have hard copies if necessary.
Has the computer been on the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay, so
not
just
dead.
log off and log
Okay.
right back on.
Find the cursor.
I see your mouse, which is odd, considering it's just not pulling up what's on the screen.
No, it's locked up.
That's right. It's Troy Trapon's fault. Somebody call him.
No, but you can see it
No,
on the screen.
I can't even find the cursor. We did. I tested it many times.
Yeah. Will this be covered by the insurance pool?
I know, right?
Looks like it wants to update.
Uh-oh. Well, we do we have enough paper copies?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got paper copies.
We have paper copies. Would you rather just start that way?
Yeah.
It's always good to have a backup.
Plugging it again.
Sometimes it's just better to go low tech.
I was serious when I said you could use the Mac. It's got HDMI though.
It's encrypted.
Oh.
All of our documents are encrypted, so you can't just pull it up, unfortunately.
It's all right, I could break it.
Cursor.
You probably can.
Probably true.
256
Was
bit
that what we already
encryption.
have in our
I had that
packets?
for breakfast.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank
Yeah.
I'm just joking. I'm just messing around, trying to fill in some of the dead space. Oh yeah, got the overhead. Is that a different button, Jim?
Yes.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen this.
Us too.
Is it gonna? Would it,
Yeah, turn the lights in on it a little bit more, Bruce.
It works.
we can
Yeah.
use this.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a first time for everything.
I thought it had to be plastic.
Me too. Maybe because it's white. All right. Well, at least you guys can see a little. Okay. Thanks for having us. We appreciate your time tonight. I'm Tia and Caprio. I'm with Gallagher.
Rich Stukliska with Arthur J. Gallagher.
So as Dan alluded to, this has been an ongoing process. We actually started over a year ago with the communities that Buffalo Grove approached. There was a formal RFP issued, and Gallagher was the chosen broker out of that RFP. So to just get started, the orientation of the program, the background, why we came together with Buffalo Grove and the other co-founding members was to create an alternative product compared to what's out in the marketplace. So the goal essentially was to be innovative, effective, and customized. So the program, while it does have set structures, it allows for each member to have customizable deductibles, which is a really great feature. I want to make sure I
Go to the milestones.
follow along in a.
We went through, as Tia mentioned, we started the process back like in August, so we're summarizing everything over the course of last year. Our first meeting was back in August of 2017. We were chosen as a broker to act as a pool administrator. Gallagher, we work in the public sector division. The division started in 1995. We've been doing pools since probably about the last 40 years, since the mid-'80s. So the first meeting was in September of last year. We created the bylaws. We started the bylaw process and then finished them up probably the beginning part of this year. After that, we started gathering the information. May everything went out to the marketplace. We came back with recommendations in July for pricing structures, which we're going to go through with you.
So what are the benefits in being a part of a program like SLIP? It allows for its members to have broader coverage and increased limits because we're going to the marketplace now with 4 other communities rather than just being on your own in the marketplace. So it allows us to have the negotiating and buying power with our partners, our carrier partners. You'll see that it lowers overall fixed costs as well as reduced rates. Some of the other unique things about this program is you have the opportunity to retain underwriting profits. So we'll walk through how the program is split into a variable cost and a fixed cost. Any of that variable cost is the membership's money to do with as they please once those claim years have closed. Other solutions that this program has brought forward is the choice of counsel. And then it also is customizable in terms of what kind of coverages we're going to include in the program moving forward as well.
The next one is the program structure itself. Insurance is kind of a hard thing to put your arms around, so what we do is we like to put something on paper so you see where the coverages take place. The bottom, the yellow, is the maintenance deductible, what we refer to. That's what your own individual entity is going to have, and it's similar to what we have currently with the Village of Hoffman Estates. Above that, in that green area, is what the pool will retain and pay claims over and above your retention or your deductible. Above that is your second layer, which is Brit Insurance Company, and they will pay property losses up to $1 million and then liability losses up to $2 million. For property coverage, that blue area on the left-hand side is Fireman's Fund, and they have a limit of $500 million per occurrence with $25 million in flood and earthquake. Okay. The middle, the light blue, is Allied World. They're providing $10 million over the 2, and then above that we have $1 million with Starstone for a total of $13 million. And then on the right-hand side you've got the crime coverage, which goes up to $5 million, the combination of the limits. On the right-hand side, when you look at that dark blue area, again, that's your loss fund. That's the money that's collected from all the members. That is going to go for payment of any claims over and above your maintenance deductibles. In the event that that $450,000 is exhausted, you have a stop-loss policy similar to a lot of health insurance plans right now, and that goes up an additional $1 million over and above. Okay.
So if the loss fund's exhausted in that year, the program's not on the hook for any of the additional money.
And it's a non-assessable program, so you're not going to be hit at the end of the year for additional funds.
The next slide is just the spectrum of insurance. So currently, you're in a more traditional conventional insurance program. You do take on retentions as a municipality. However, you still have less say in the marketplace because you're out on your own. On the opposite end of the spectrum is somebody that would be totally self-insured, like a Google or an Apple product. The nice things about these type of programs like SLIP is they kind of fall right in the middle, where you as an entity don't take on more risk. However, you have more purchasing and buying power.
Next one. Next page is the cost analysis, and this is for the entire group. We looked at this actually 2 ways. One was including workers' compensation, and one not including workers' compensation. This was actually the most cost-effective to not include workers' comp. What we did is we looked at all the expiring costs from the 4 communities. That total came up to $1,614,540. We came in with all the carriers on that structure graph for a total of $1,430,178, roughly about 11% savings to you. Okay, about $184,000, and that's on a maximum cost basis.
So the next slide shows expected cost, and the way we come up with the expected cost is we took the co-founding members, so yourself, Buffalo Grove, Highland Park, and the Village of Elk Grove, and we took the 5-year loss history to come up with what the expected versus the maximum cost would be. So actually the members that came to be part of this group have very good loss history. They all like and kind quality. So we found that we didn't expect you to utilize very much of that loss fund based off of trending loss history.
So the difference really with this is that you have the expiring costs, you have the maximum costs, and then in the middle column is what was inserted for expected cost. If you look at where it says loss fund annual aggregate, on the far right-hand side, you have $450,000, which is what's going to be collected from all the members. What we're expecting to pay out, based on a 5-year average, is $113,821, so that'll leave you about $360,000 in the pool when all the claims are closed out. So that would bring down your savings as a group of roughly about $520,000, or about 32%.
And the nice thing is with that surplus money, you're able to invest it and earn some investment income on that as well. The next slide is your individual pricing for being a part of the SLIP program. You'll see that it outlines what you are currently paying compared to what you would be paying in SLIP per line of coverage. In your expiring program, you paid about $415,000 in SLIP in the fixed costs. It's coming out to just be right under $270,000. And then if you take in the loss fund, which is the portion that you're going to get back based upon the loss history of the program, the total spend is coming out to be just $360,000, so about 10% in savings there.
Okay. Next couple pages, we did a comparison for all the members. There's a deductible comparison, and then there's a limits comparison. What we tried to do is, because you're trying to mesh 4 different programs together, we're looking at how do we improve on all of them without giving up any coverages or increasing deductibles. So we were able to keep the deductibles that you have right now, with a couple exceptions which were good to your favor, like the boiler machinery, which was a little bit lower under SLIP, like a $10,000 deductible. All the other ones were very comparable, and that lists all the coverages by line of coverage. Slightly lower too on the cyber liability. Next page is the limits comparison. And again, we took all the major components of your insurance program, your property, your boiler machinery, auto physical damage, general liability, your law enforcement liability, employment practices, crime, and cyber liability. A lot of the members were able to get at least the coverages or more than what they had previously, which is good. We were able to negotiate $25 million in flood and quake for everybody, higher property limits, and all the liability limits will be the same for each member.
The nice thing about the program is the liability limits are standalone per member, so those are your own limits to use. So if another member exhausts their limits, it's not going to affect you. I believe this is the last slide. This is just next steps for the program. Each of the communities have either met on it and had a similar meeting like this, or they've met on it and already voted to join the program. So from there, we'll receive all the binding information. We'll go ahead and bind with the carriers, and then come 1/1, the program SLIP will come into fruition. Any questions?
Trustee Mills?
And I may have missed this somewhere along the line. Do all 4 of the communities involved pay the same amount?
No.
Okay, so is it, how is that prorated to each town?
Very good question. They all have different individual deductibles. They have different property values. They have different vehicle schedules, different payrolls, different number of employees, law enforcement officers. So it goes by, like for the property, it goes by a rate per $1,000 of property. So because you have the Sears Center, you're going to pay a little bit more on property, whereas Highland Park's going to pay less. It's all allocated based on rates, deductibles, and past experience.
But whatever each community pays, that's just what would, I mean, it just stays pretty much with their community in the plan, or how does?
It's rated off of exposures.
Okay. Everyone's rate stays the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just based off of each individual's exposures, property exposures, liability exposures. But everyone's rate is the same.
Okay, thank you.
But Trustee Mills, in the loss fund, it would be proportionate. So our proportion in would be our proportion of whatever the savings is.
Okay.
And so whatever's left of the surplus, if you were responsible for 20% of the loss fund, you get 20% of the surplus back as well.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So the 7.1 decrease in overall cost compared to the existing program, I see that this is $360,000 roughly. So that 7% number is about what, 40 grand difference in savings?
45 or 44.
44.
Right
Is
there.
that this year, or is that 2019 budget?
19. It's effective January 1, so it's 19.
Gotcha. I just didn't know if it reached back into current year.
Right, and the other thing that nobody mentioned, which is important, is that the help pool, which is our excess liability pool, dissolved. And so this last year, remember, Ken had to go to the market for us for that because they were dissolving. This replaces that and actually increases our excess liability amount available over what we could have got, what we had on the commercial market, plus gives us the savings.
Are any of these pools, in your experience, historically ever been completely exhausted by the founding members that pay into those?
In terms of the loss fund?
Yes.
They have, but that's why you have a stop-loss policy. But we've had, every pool that we put together, they're still in existence. There's a reason. You've got an individual stop-loss per claim, and then you've got the annual stop-loss.
So the worst case scenario is there's no surplus left in that year.
Right. And when there's no surplus, there's no payback.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Gotcha.
And that would be just like being on the commercial market.
Right.
Yeah, so currently, right now, in your current program, you might pay $100,000 to a certain carrier, and they only are going to pay out, say you have one small claim and they just pay $5,000, $10,000 to pay that claim. You're not going to see any of the $100,000 you paid. In this program, 20% of that might be the variable cost, and that's where you might see the savings there as well.
Okay. Your cyber liability number is a pretty big number. Can you give like some general overview? What does that entail?
I don't have the proposal with me, but it was, I think it was more competitive than the current policy that you have. The reason being is that whenever we combine entities and go into an underwriter and ask them for a group quote, it's going to be, historically, it's going to be more competitive than if you're buying it on your own. So I don't, I think
Are we asking about the limits or the price?
Yeah, the limits, I don't have the limits with me. They're in the office, but.
Oh, we have the 10 million pool ag. Is that what you were asking about, the limits?
Yeah, like are you covering like data breach or?
So all of the coverages that are included in cyber, so it's a full cyber policy, so it includes data breaches, extortion claims, so that would be if you came in and all your files were locked and they're asking for a certain amount of Bitcoins or a certain amount of money to be transferred. It covers any sort of data processing charges associated with it. So essentially anything that has to do with a data breach or a hard copy breach of data is going to be covered. It also includes a cyber breach hotline. So this law firm only handles breaches day in and day out. So if you do think you may have had a claim, you have access to this hotline as well.
Yeah, you've got third-party liability in there, crisis management.
Does it cover ransomware?
That's in actually your crime too. Social
Yeah,
engineering.
we've got it covered both ways because it depends on how the incident occurs.
Okay.
So.
I'll take a break for a minute. Trustee Mills. Karen, you can go ahead.
This is a one-year proposal, correct?
Correct.
Historically, what kind of percentages have you seen in continuing policies?
With, I run a county pool and then also another city pool. With the county pool, we didn't have any rate increases for 8 years in a row.
Okay, good.
With the city pool, it's been pretty much about the same. They've only been around since 2013.
Okay.
So we usually see flat to decrease. As the market starts to change a little bit, the nice thing we do have is we have the market power, so we're able to at least negotiate flat when there are the large property type increases and things like that.
And then we'll also go out periodically and market some of the policies just to keep the underwriters honest.
Sure.
So like with the situation right now with all the flooding on the East Coast, last couple of years have been some problems. We generally recommend to our clients that you market your property. The underwriters are looking for rate increases.
Okay.
Dan?
Just to be clear, though, this is the financial proposal for the first year, but by the bylaws of the pool itself, it's a 3-year commitment by each village.
Okay. Okay.
Gotcha.
And all of the programs work like that. It's just for the stability of the program.
Okay. But you said you've seen very little, if any, increases.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about being in a program, because when we're looking, we're talking to an underwriter with $1.5 million, $2 million in premium, as opposed to $300,000, $400,000. You know, if they're not interested in it, or if they have some directives to go ahead and increase the premiums year over year, then we've got other underwriters standing in the background.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Newell.
The only question I have is, we have 4 villages in this, okay? And it said that it's a 1-year agreement, but it's possibly 3 by the bylaws. If some other village decides that they want to join us, do they have to wait until that 3-year is over before they can join us? No.
We actually have a process in place, so that's been part of the discussions with the co-founding members. So there's going to be a petition to admit. So if a community is interested in joining, we will fill out the petition commit. We'll get their loss history and see if they're a good fit, like quality, if they have good loss history, all of those sorts of things to see if they'll be a good member to put into SLIP. Because we only want good members to join so that the loss history remains stable.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
and I think that's the key to it. You don't just grow for growth's sake. While getting larger may have some financial benefits, you really have to look at the communities that would like to join. So that's really going to be at the control of the 4 founding members.
Okay. Thank you.
So do all the member communities vote if somebody new comes in?
Yes.
So, okay.
So
It won't go to the village boards. It will be done by the governing body of SLIP.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the program is owned by the members. So while we're the broker and the administrator of the program, the co-founding members are actually going to have the ones who have the say. We can give recommendations, but at the end of the day, their vote is what's going to make the difference.
Yeah, there's a 3-step process. We'll go out and meet with the city or the village, and then we'll come to the executive board, lay everything out to them. They vote. If it goes past that process, it goes to the underwriters, and the underwriters have to approve it. So with the other pools we've had same situations where either the board said, no, we don't want this member, or if they go through and then it goes down to the underwriters say, you know what, this is, it's not a good fit for this program, so we prefer not to quote it.
You mentioned at the beginning you won this through an RFP. Was that the proposed founding members? Was it a joint RFP, or was it just one that wrote the RFP and the others subscribed? Do you know?
It was an RFP done by the consultant.
Oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. And then, do you know the terms of the award of the RFP? Was it low cost, or what was really the differentiation for the award? Can you?
I can
They
tell you
would
what
know
we put.
because they weren't on the inside.
Right.
Yeah, we weren't there to.
Dan, you were a part of it.
It was the experience.
The experience?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, maybe I was wrong. I was looking at the wrong person. I was just curious because pretty ingrained in the public sector award process nowadays, so it's always nice to know what you do to win. Any other questions or comments from the board? So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you for
for,
having us, and thanks to the team for all of their participation. It's been a lot of hard work to come to this point.
thanks for using
Thank
our
you for coming.
1970s technology.
Oh, that hurt.
Could I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it,
Let's
we're
take a
adjourned.
5-minute
Yeah,
break
let's do
before
that.
the board meeting reconvenes.